I made some yukatas for my doll. Yukata in Japanese means like bathrobe, like literally it means bath clothing, and it's a little bit less stringent than a normal kimono because of the cotton you can use, and it's easier to get a hold of these materials. So I decided to make two matching yukatas for my dolls, one in red and one in blue. And I found this gorgeous fabric at my fabric store, and that's kind of what started it. So you're going to start out with the pattern I have on my Etsy store, and you're going to cut all of that out. There should be basically like a back and a front, and then like an obi. And for the obi design, it's a little bit kind of like an easy obi design, which is something you use for like children, where basically think of it kind of like a clip-on tie for like a kid. So right here we're doing the sleeves, and we're tracing the sleeves, one front and one back. And typically when you do yukatas, like they're straight line and whatever, I have added some basically some edges that come out a little bit, so it's easier to line them up. So I am now cutting all the edges out in my blue one. The red one was the prototype, and then I did it again, and it was basically the final version. So right now I'm cutting out the front pieces and the arms and stuff and laying them out in the correct order. Something you want to be kind of cognizant of is kimonos and yukatas are supposed to be laid correctly, like one is supposed to go over the other. And the reason is it's kind of like one side represents peace and the other side represents like badness, like kind of like yin and yang. So you always want to make sure you have the good side facing outward, or else it's kind of bad luck, or it just doesn't look right. So we've got our front piece and our back piece, and we're sewing them together, basically making sure that the sides are out. I think the first time I sewed it wrong, and I basically sewed it bad side to good side, and that wasn't correct. So you want to make sure that the bad side's on the outside. And I'm just basically sewing the shoulders here together, and then when I finish that, I can line up the kimono arm. Okay, so now I've got my kimono arm, and you see those again, like I said, I have basically added like an outcropping, like a square outcropping on both patterns, so you can kind of make sure that they are lined up properly. And you're just going to sew those straight across. And you can do this with a sewing machine. You'll probably have to add a little bit of a seam, but I feel like it's easier for people to see what I'm doing if I hand sew it. And if I ever decide to do like multiples and then sell the actual clothing, I'll probably have to work a machine. But for right now, like, it's probably better if I sew it by hand because it's easier to see. I feel it is either anyway, though it takes me a little bit longer. So again, we're going to the other side, and we're making sure that we're sewing bad side to bad side, and we're lining up the outcropping to each other and just sewing across. Okay, so that's basically, it's created like a little thing. And here what I'm doing is I am sewing the cuff just straight across, just a straight running stitch on the cuff right there. And that's another outcropping I made. Technically in traditional ones you don't have that, but because it's so small and I wanted to make it easier to read, it has a little cuff there. The way you tell which way is out and which way is in is you're going to have rounded edges going outwards, right? And then the square edges are go towards the body. So you can see them here. The round edges are on the outside and the square edges are on the inside. And again, I'm sewing up the second cuff of the sleeve here. Just a nice running stitch. I just got new sewing scissors, and I'm so happy I did because it was so annoying. Okay, now basically you're going to sew a hem on the inside sleeve, so towards the body, right? So here I'm sewing, so because basically it has like a hole in towards the body that basically is like ventilation, because again, this is kind of like summer clothing. It's typically yukatas, like historically, and I'll leave a link to like some of the historical stuff I did for this, but basically yukatas originally were like bathrobes that you were given at onsens, and they kind of have evolved over time so that they're kind of worn for festivals and stuff. And like I said, I wasn't able to go to my festivals this past 2 years because of basically COVID, and it's kind of sad because I just moved back to Charlotte, so I kind of would have liked to gone. And I've been really busy because I've been trying to get back into work and stuff. So again, I'm sewing a little hem towards the body. That's going to be like where the holes for the ventilation. So it's basically it's a super, when you wear it, it's a super light piece of clothing and meant to be for either like a hot bath or a summer festival. So it's got these holes in the back of them. They're meant to be. So now I'm going to fold it back around and basically arrange it so that it's the kimono's basically inside out. And we're going to, you can see better here how the rounded edges are towards the out. So I'm sewing up the rounded edges now. And these are obviously women's kimonos. Basically, this is kind of like, the longer the sleeve is, when you have super long sleeves in kimonos, it's kind of like, it looks, how do I describe it? It looks kind of like girly, I guess. Male kimonos do not have the long sleeves because that's mostly, it indicates like, I guess, fertility or, cuteness. So you don't want to have like a really long sleeve on a guy, because that just doesn't look right. And their obis are different too. So, but now that we've sewn up the curved part of the outer sleeves, we're going to basically sew the body together. Not much to say here. But anyway, like, I've been really wanting to actually take a trip to Japan, but it's been like so crazy lately, I just can't. It's so sad. But anyway, I'm saving up money so I can do it. So anyway, we'll have a good trip. So and I just love this fabric. The golden bits in the fabric are just amazing. So I sewed up the second side now. Give it a little couple of knots. And we're going to turn it all inside out. And it's starting to look pretty good. Okay, so now what we're going to do, and again, make sure one side goes, I have dyslexia, so it's kind of hard for me to tell. But make sure that, it looks right. I think it's the right side. Wrong. I don't know. But I'll show some pictures, but basically make sure that the right side goes on the right side. So I've basically got the collar right now, and I'm sewing both sides so I can turn it inside out and create a sharp edge here. So I'm showing it bad side to bad side so I can turn it inside out and have a sharp edge, and that's basically what I'm doing now. You can see I've got a sharp edge now. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to sew it along the top of the kimono. I don't know why, but I always have problems with collars. Here I'm basically just, this is a little bit of me trying trying it after I've sewn on the collar on the other doll. And basically I'm starting to do the obi now. And this is a prototype. I think I actually lost the footage for the final one. So basically what you're going to do is you're going to take the obi belt itself and you're going to cut out 2 copies of that. And you're basically going to sew bad side to bad side all around, just like you would a pillow. And like I said, you have to. This kimono doesn't work exactly like a normal kimono because typically a normal kimono is held together by how tight the obi is. But the problem is these dolls are extremely curvy, and kimonos were not really meant to be curvy girls. So I had to add some Velcro on the front of the kimono to make sure it looks right when you have her sit and stuff. So we've sewn together the 4 edges and we're turning it inside out. And actually I use a flat iron here. You see I've got my flat iron, and I use it to kind of like make sure that it's super straight. Now I'm sewing together the last edge, so it's just basically like a block. And I made sure that it fit the doll too. But it's just basically, it's a boxy thing. And again, flat iron works real well for this. I was actually sitting there thinking, I was like, I don't have an iron in my house because I wear mostly like gym shorts and stuff like that. And I was like, where am I going to have to buy an iron? And then I realized, oh, I can use a flat iron. So I totally brought it out and it works. Oh no, doll nudity. Oh well. So basically, like when I put it on her, I basically made sure that it fit her, and I took some Velcro. And this is fabric glue I'm using here. And now I'm going to add the decoration, which is the obi bow. And I based it a little bit on something called, it's a chou. It's a butterfly knot. It's just a bow. But I did 2 different colors. I did a red and I guess it's a pink. It's a maroon color. I don't know what color that is. But like a maroon and a red. And I basically made one side maroon and one side purple. And then I basically fold it like a fan. And then I have another little small piece that you sew onto. Or here, I glue it on because I'm lazy like that. So I sew it together just like a pillow. And then I turn it inside out. And it probably wouldn't hurt to do some flat ironing here as well. And I think I was getting kind of tired at this point, so I basically just this actually isn't hot glue. It's fabric glue that you can put inside a how do you say, like a hot glue gun. So I am very much in love with that idea. So basically, like you see, I basically made a butterfly bow. It's not exact. It's meant to be something that's easy to do. And I don't know if you can see here, but I've sewn up the bottom of the dress and the sides, so it has a nice clean finished edging. And if you'll look at like pictures of kimonos, this is typically what they do. They do like just a running stitch. And that would be the kimono, or the yukata. Like a yukata is a kimono, but it's like a specific type. So anyway, but thank you very much.